This is the Less Insurance Dependence podcast show with my good friend Gary Takacs and myself, Naren Arulrajah.
We appreciate your listenership, your time, and most of all, we appreciate your intention to reduce insurance dependence in your practice. Our goal is to provide information that will help you successfully reduce insurance dependence and convert your practice into a thriving and profitable dental practice that provides you with personal, professional, and financial satisfaction.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Less Insurance Dependence podcast, the official podcast of the Reducing Insurance Dependence Academy, www.rid.academy. Membership to the Academy is a gift from Gary and I in appreciation for your listenership. Visit rid.academy and do not forget to register. By registering, you will have access to all of our resources and a free pass to all of our events, including our annual summit. I am Naren, your co-host. Today's podcast is titled, How to Become a Whistleblower on Dental Insurance Companies. I know it's a controversial topic, so I'm really excited to find out what are the pearls of wisdom that Gary has to share. But before I jump into that, I have a quick announcement to make. We have an event coming up, Reimagining Dental Practice Success. New models for growth and ownership. So this is going to be an interesting panel. We're going to bring in some awesome experts, 7 to 8 p.m. on 28th of July. You will also get 1 hour of CE. Just go to thrivingdentist.com/events and sign up. And I'm looking forward to, having you there. And hopefully you'll be able to take a lot of notes from all the experts we're going to have. Gary, let's jump into today's episode. How to become a whistleblower on dental insurance companies.
Well, I hope we have our listeners' attention. I'm sure we do.
Yes.
Let's start by defining the term whistleblower. Now, let's not assume that everybody listening knows what that term means. How would you define whistleblower? And then I'll give my definition, then we'll proceed. How would you define whistleblower?
I just remember all the TV coverage of one or two people, would you consider Snowden a whistleblower? I don't know what he did, but he was all over the news. I can't remember now.
Well, I think whistleblower, I think the term means that someone has found something wrong.
Right.
And they brought it to attention. Brought it, something was wrong. It could be, related to a government agency, for example, that this agency wasn't doing something right. And someone discovered it, and it just was a principled kind of thing that this isn't right. And they blew the whistle. They blew the whistle to get attention,
right?
And to bring out the unfairness around whatever was done. And let's look at it. So let's use that kind of as the definition of a whistleblower. They discovered something that wasn't right, and they said, "No, we've got to make this right," and they blew the whistle. And so there's a lot of people that think that the dental insurance companies have all the control. And so they go to the insurance. How am I supposed to do this? How am I supposed to do this? And what am I supposed to do? And they lean on the insurance company for the source of this information, right?
Yes.
But in fact, there's a higher power. It's not the dental insurance company. The dental insurance company, they don't have the ultimate authority. They have to answer to someone,
right,
or something. Someone isn't the right term. They have to answer to something. Who does all dental insurance companies have to answer to? The state insurance commission.
Exactly.
The state, and remember that insurance is state regulated. It's not federally regulated. It's state regulated.
Right.
So if they are selling insurance policies in your state, they have to answer to the insurance commission. However, this is where it gets tricky, Naren. The insurance commission is not an agency that looks over and takes care of dental offices, of dentists, or of the employers that buy these policies. They're a consumer watchdog agency.
Right.
Consumer. The people that have the policies, the patients that have the policy, that's who the insurance commission is ultimately beholden to. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, Gary.
And then this is where it comes into play. Any of our listeners will know that insurance companies will pull the wool over your eyes when you're following up on claims.
Yes.
Hey, you've had this claim for 2 months. How come you haven't paid? Honest to gosh, I have this in my own experience. The clerk at the insurance company will say, back in the day when they used to have printers and they would print checks, remember, you can imagine that, not electronic deposit to send out payment. They're printing checks. Can you imagine that, Naren?
Yes.
Can you imagine a company that used to print checks?
I can still imagine it. I think one of my friends built $1 billion company. They just replaced checks with electronic stuff.
Electronic,
it's huge.
and that's ultimately where all the insurance companies have gone. But back when the insurance companies used to print checks, one of the questions, well, our printers are down.
Right.
Our printers are down.
Right.
What's another famous one? We never received your claim. So, and
how do you argue with that? Right? Like, we never received your claim.
Let me tell you how.
Okay.
Now your claim doesn't go from your office to the insurance company. It goes from your office to a clearinghouse to the insurance company.
Right.
And the clearinghouse, so it takes your claim form that was put on Dentrix, EagleSoft, Open Dental claim form, goes to the clearinghouse. Immediately, the clearinghouse converts it to a UCF, Universal Claim Form.
Okay.
They then send that to the insurance company, and you could get a transmission report from your clearinghouse on when that claim was sent. And so you can say that's so when you're calling to follow up on a claim and the clerk says, we never received your claim. You say, well, that's very interesting because I have a transmission report from our clearinghouse indicating that you received that on the morning of June 6th at 10:42 a.m. Hold, please. And then they go running down the hall and they come back and they say, we found it. We found it, right? Or they ask for an attachment. We need a perio chart. We need a radiograph. We need a photo. Well, I have a report from the clearinghouse indicating that those attachments arrived on the morning of June 6th at 10:42. Hold, please. And they come back and, we found them. We found it. But a lot of people that don't know this will just fall victim to whatever the clerk on the insurance company tells you. Okay, I'll resend it. Now, if you hit resend, they now have another 30 days to respond.
Okay.
The federal law that's converted to state law says insurance companies have 30 days to pay or respond to a claim.
Right.
What's the part of that clause that really causes us to wrinkle our forehead? What's the part of that clause?
The 30-day part?
You have 30 days to pay or respond.
Right. Isn't that the 30-day itself is the part of the wrinkle? No.
Or respond.
Oh.
Because now they can ask for something, and now you could fall victim to
technically, it could be 10 years before you get the money.
They can keep going. They can keep doing it technically.
Wow.
But here's what you do, and here's how you become the whistleblower. And I want you to want all of our listeners to listen to this. And by the way, the fact that that clause says pay or respond indicates how strong the insurance company lobby is. That's how they got that in the regulations.
I see.
Because they're paying billions of dollars for lobbyists to get that kind of language in there.
That is, this is BS.
It's why you need to be out of network.
This is like makes you mad.
You need to be out of network. Okay.
Yeah.
But for those of you that aren't quite ready to do that, then let's become a whistleblower.
Yeah.
And the reason, so whistleblowing is good because they're taking advantage of you. I mean, when they said their printers are down, do you think that was really true? No, it's just an excuse. It's just an excuse. And they'll give you excuses. But when you respond back with support, and here's the support. So the transmission report indicated that you received this on the morning of June 6th at 10:42. And I have that report in hand.
Right.
And if I don't have a check within 7 days, please know I'll be advising our patient to file a formal complaint with the State Insurance Commission.
Right.
And that check will arrive in your hands in less, first of all, it's often done electronically, but it will arrive very quickly. But notice the language that I used. If I don't receive payment within 7 days, and just give them 7 days. If I don't receive payment within 7 days, we will be advising our patient to file a formal complaint with our state insurance commission. And that strikes the fear of God in the insurance company. Seriously, because if I say we will be filing a complaint, they put it on mute and start laughing.
Yeah, because the
Because
insurance,
they know you don't know.
Yeah, because they don't care about dental complaints. They only care about patient complaints.
Insurance commission pays zero, and it's not that they don't care. It's just that's not their charter. That's not
The charter is only listen to patients.
The charter is we're a consumer watchdog agency. The office isn't part of our jurisdiction.
Mm-hmm.
But when you say we'll be advising our patient, it literally strikes the fear of God. And I've been told, and by the way, this came up on our 700th episode of the Thriving Dentist Show. So a little cross promotion here. Those of you that may also listen to our Thriving Dentist Show, we just hit episode 700. One of our guests we invited multiple friends of the podcast to share a quick tip. And the quick tip was, what's the one thing that you know now that you wish you would have learned earlier in your career? And one of our guests talked about some things like this that we're talking about now, we're sharing with you. So she made the point of saying the one thing she wished she had known earlier in her career that she now knows now is the insurance company is not in control. The insurance commission's in control.
Right.
That was her tip. It was Tessina. I don't know if you remember her contributing there, but it was Tessina. And she said, that's what I wish I would have known earlier, because I'd start doing this stuff earlier in my career.
Mm.
So it kind of triggered my thinking about doing this podcast episode for LID, for less insurance dependence. So just write down that language. If we don't receive payment within a week, we will be advising our patient to file a formal complaint with the state insurance commission, because in every state, if they get a complaint from a consumer, the insurance commission is obligated to research it. And if they research it and it has merit, then it starts to, the insurance companies do not want to get on the bad side of the insurance commission. They want to be invisible to the insurance company. They don't want to be brought in for these complaints, because if they get enough complaints, the state insurance commission could eliminate their ability to write insurance policies in your state. And that has happened. That has happened. And this is very misbehaving insurance companies. And they have eliminated the ability for them to write insurance policies in that state.
Right.
And so that's the language. And remember, write it down so you know it's not, we will be filing a complaint, because they just laugh at you on that because they know it will go nowhere. But we'll be advising our patient to file a formal complaint with the state insurance commission. Now, let me bring this back on a positive note. Be a whistleblower when you're being taken advantage by the insurance company.
Right. Let me ask you this, Gary. Wait
a minute, let me finish this, Darren.
Okay.
So be a whistleblower.
Yeah.
But I want to also play the other side of the coin to be fair. I want to play the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking this rhetorically to our audience. Have you ever been working with an insurance clerk that's been very helpful? And I'll bet right now, there's many office managers that are nodding their head yes. Remember, good people can work for insurance companies. Would you accept that on face value, Naren?
Yes.
Not at the executive level. Not at the executive level, but at the clerk level, is it possible that a good person could work for an insurance company?
Yes.
And be helpful?
Yes.
Sure. If the person's helpful for you, mirror and match that. Mirror and match helpfulness back. Susan, thank you so much. One of my goals is to really help our office when it comes to claims processing and insurance. And you've been very helpful. Thank you. How many times do you think they get thanked on the phone during the day?
Very little, probably like zero.
Zero.
Especially
Zero.
You and I were joking about how people today are like me, right? They don't
get thanked. Yeah. And when you thank them, first of all, they start to feel better. And you can say, let's say her name, you got her name. Let's say her name's Susan. Susan, can I ask a request? Can I get your direct number? And can I just call you directly in the future? Because I love working with you. And many times they have.
Yeah.
And
it cuts through the nonsense, make it easy for everyone. And
be kind. Yeah.
And like you said, they want to help you because you are kind. Simple as that.
So be kind, be helpful, be appreciative. Mirror it back to them. But when you're getting, kind of the runaround, like the printers are down back in the day, or just getting, garbage answers, then pull out the stick. And the stick is, if we don't receive payment, let me be clear, if we do not receive payment within a week, and I am documenting this phone call, we do not receive a payment within a week, we'll be advising our patient to file a formal complaint with the State Insurance Commission.
All right.
That's how you can become a whistleblower. And they do pay attention, not, if they're acting up, they're not trying to be kind here, but they realize that
I think
better to pay you than deal
Right.
with the consequences of dealing with the insurance commission, which might result in their loss, the inability to write policies in the future.
Right. So I think the lesson for me is they will take it as close to the line as possible, and
They'll get away with it if they can.
If they can. And your role is to not do that, not let them do that.
Or find helpful people within the company that'll help you.
Exactly.
But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this episode, how to become a whistleblower on dental insurance companies. On that note, I want to take a minute and say thanks. We appreciate each and every one of our listeners of the Less Insurance Dependence podcast. Stay tuned. We'll be continuing with more useful information. Until next time, thanks for the privilege of your time today.